It is showtime, everybody, and welcome to an all-new Downright Sports. I am your host, the sports critic, Brent Reid, and this is the most underground sports show on the internet, TV, anywhere you want to just throw it out there. But today's show, we got two topics. So normally I do one if you've never seen the show before, but today we're going to do two. So two different segments with two loaded topics where it gets really dicey and sensitive. But in any case, let's be light, and we'll start with the WNBA corner. As we do, the WNBA championship is not going away. These ladies are fighting for the right to be crowned the WNBA champion. Last night, Game 4 happened, and the Connecticut Sun would take care of the Mystic. It was a back-and-forth game in the second half. In the first half, the Mystic were down as much as 18 points, but they started a lead, and they came back, and they put themselves in position to win the game. In the fourth quarter, they did have the lead by the 5-minute mark, but after that, the Sun, which was go on a run, Thomas and Jones would be way too much for the Mystic to take care of. Elena Delle Donne is suffering a back issue right now. It says that she feels like there's a pole in her back. So hopefully by Game 5, which is Thursday, which is tomorrow for those of you that are unsure, she will be looking to try to bounce back and maybe have one of them Jordan-like performances. So the theme of this first segment is Game 5s. Game 5s for everybody. Game 5s for the WNBA. And definitely as we switch the segment to the Clubhouse, MLB Clubhouse Playoff Edition, Game 5s are being thrown out everywhere, kids, like it's Game 5 day. Last night, the favorite Houston Astros, what is my dog doing? The favorite Houston Astros was in position to take the series, and they couldn't get it done because the Tampa Bay Rays at home beat Justin Verlander, the great Justin Verlander, on 3 days rest. They took care of him, and they forced the Game 5, which will also be tomorrow. But today's Game 5s, I'm in the wrong place. Today's Game 5s will be two games out in LA. What's say the Dodgers will be taking on the Washington Nationals. The Nationals, who were left for dead, found a way to redeem themselves and put themselves in position to win their first playoff series as either the Washington Nationals or the Montreal Expos. That's a lot of baseball for a lot of years. So a lot of people are rooting for the Nationals. I think the Nationals should win anyway because the Dodgers have been to the championship 3 years in a row and they've achieved jack squat. That means they haven't won. So let somebody else go, and nothing will be any better than the Nationals versus the Yankees in the World Series because I'm going to that game. And then the second Game 5 today will be the St. Louis Cardinals versus the Atlanta Braves. I'm kind of pulling for Atlanta in this one. St. Louis always has that weird kind of magic, and this is one of them weird years St. Louis will win the World Series because nobody counted them. This was the Cubs division or the Brewers division, and then here comes St. Louis out of nowhere. And I like St. Louis a little bit because my boy Nate's a Cards fan, but I'm going to pull for the Braves. The Braves got the talent. They got that junior kid who is a beast. I call him the Acra because that's what his name looks like. But the Braves, for the first time in a long time, have the talent to get it done and potentially take on the winner of the Nationals and the Dodgers. Why did I not know that? I had trouble with that. Which could be cool because you get the Braves versus the Nationals and the National League Championship Series. Two division foes who know each other very well. And when we come back to the first topic of today's show, we're going to ask the question, has sports, pro sports, become a little too soft? Downright Sports. David Letterman style. Alright, so today's first topic came to me as I was going to bed the other night. I was watching the NFL, and a guy, middle linebacker, made a play, and the quarterback just got rid of the ball, and the linebacker hit the quarterback at the same time, and they called roughing the passer. And I said, geez, normally I thought the roughing the passer call was designed for when he hit him late. The quarterback throws the ball, he's standing there viewing his pass, and the guy comes hit him in the bottom of the knees. that I respect. Or hit him in the head, that I respect. But when a guy hits him in the numbers and you just boom, good old fashioned hit, that made me think, has sports period become too soft? So if you pay attention to, now football I'm not going to touch on because the concussion thing, and football has to find a way to get safer while still being football. Now basketball and baseball on the other hand made me question what has happened to the things that made it cool. When I've been watching this baseball playoffs, including my Yankees who just won, it's kind of sad to see a pitcher go 3 innings to 4. They get him a pat on the back, calling a quality start, and you go to the bullpen. A quality start used to mean a guy went 7, 8, even 9. In the NBA, guys are getting world-renowned achievements, and they're not even playing the same amount of games. Now, the NBA, I was looking to murder, but I did some numbers, I did some research, and it's kind of hit and miss. Guys are playing, it's the minutes thing, and I think what had happened was when they were giving guys breaks a few years ago, it looked worse than what it was. So, like, for example, I didn't do LeBron and Jordan like everybody was expecting, but I did David Robinson and Anthony Davis. David Robinson in his career played 82 games 4 times, 84 times, and over 64 times in his entire career. So he's basically, you can pencil him in for the entire season. Anthony Davis has never played 82 games in his whole career, or he's never even played 80 his entire career. The closest he's come to is 75. How do you put this guy in the same category as in the greats? How do you compare their numbers even? I mean, granted, more 3-point shots, but do they work as even hard, or are they as effective, or are they more, sense of animation? It's weird because they get paid more but play less, and they have more resources than the guys of the past have, but they need more time to recover. The All-Star break used to be 2 to 3 days off after the game. The All-Star break is now an entire week. A week. Just to stretch the season out even longer. For what? You really actually, to some degree for the NBA, can kill your season because the NBA is your next momentum. The NBA is not like the NFL, where the NFL can take 17 weeks off, come back, and people will be salivating and drooling for it. The NBA needs to be in your face 24/7. Now let's look at baseball. Baseball has extremely become like the key punk sport as far as what has happened to the pitcher. Now, analytics tells you the guy isn't any good. I wish I had glasses. The guy isn't any good after the 3rd pitch because when they feed him the 3rd time, they hit him. Yeah, a bad pitcher, but great pitchers, for the most part, it doesn't matter how many times you see them. They get straight. They go down. You think it mattered for Roger Clemens? You think it mattered for Greg Maddux, Tom Glavine, John Smoltz? I just named 3 teammates. Yeah, because those guys were great. You think it mattered for Pedro Martinez? No, it didn't matter. So far, here's the kicker. So far, the new common thing in baseball now is we're going in the playoffs. We're just going to use all our starters. We don't care about the next few games. Game 1, we'll use 2 starters. Game 2, we use 2 starters. And then when you get down in the series, if it's a 5-game series, you're scratching your head to going, who do I pitch? Because you got a bullpen for no reason. It's getting out of hand. A few years ago, the San Francisco Giants, Madison Bumgarner, defied the odds as he pitched every day. He went Bob Gibson-like. But that was one guy. And guess what? Bob Gibson, too, was one guy. We have to get away. I had numbers and everything, but my time is constrained. We have to get... This stuff starts at the lower levels. The AAU basketball program has kind of sissified the players because it puts them on a pedestal. It puts them on a glorified all-star team. You pick your friend and you just go play. The travel ball baseball, the same thing. It's no more... Guys are not as strong as they once were because they don't get to play multiple sports. Baseball players used to play football and basketball. It used to build up your arm strength because your arm for passing the ball in different ways used to give you arm strength throughout your entire arm. You go back and look at some of the greatest pitchers. I bet you they were their high school quarterback. Same thing goes for basketball players the same way. They don't get to play multiple sports. If you're great at basketball, you have to just play basketball now. Unless your name is LeBron James and you are and LeBron played high school football, by the way. And you wonder why he's a freak of nature and why he's so perfected in his craft. Because if you look at even some of the passes LeBron makes or some of the routes he runs it like a wide receiver or he throws it like a quarterback, because that's what made him great, because he played multiple sports enough. Whew. I'm fired up today. That's what happens when you're back in the studio. Anyway, it's up to you to decide whether or not if sports has become softer or maybe I'm just overreacting, because I can do that. When we come back, we're going to touch on a tougher topic, the NBA versus China. Downright Sports. Alright, so the NBA and China have been doing business for a long time now. I don't have the numbers in front of me, nor am I going to go search and find them. But this past week, their business came to an abrupt halt. Now, in today's culture, in today's climate, things are very testy. And what you say could affect either how do you work or what kind of job you have. And we all know the climate of the country. I'm not here to pick a side or have you pick a side. It's not what my show is. But so far, the NBA and China have issues, and it has already affected money. And when it affects money, we're talking millions. We're not talking a couple $1,000s. We're not talking $100. If me and you out there have a problem, it's just $120, $5, maybe a quarter. But in the case of the NBA and China, millions of dollars is at stake. Probably next to the United States, China's probably the next biggest consumer to the NBA product. It may be bigger, in fact. China is so huge, NBA players go over there just to sell their shoes. Kobe, LeBron James, James Harden, these guys are huge names in China. China has been so good to basketball players. Stephon Marbury has moved over there full time and has a statue outside of a stadium. Now, where am I going with this? Daryl Morey, the general manager of the Houston Rockets, put out a tweet saying, "Fight for freedom, stand for Hong Kong." Now, for some of you that may not know what that means, Hong Kong is a sovereignty of China. Back in 1997, at midnight, Britain, or England, how you want to look at it, basically said, hey, we got to give up all our lands and properties, India, etc. Hong Kong was the last in the British hold for what British used to say, the sun will never go down on the British Empire. Well, it went down in 1997 at midnight when Britain gave over Hong Kong to China. Now, some of you are saying, why is that a problem? Because China is a communist nation, which kind of has a little stricter rules than some others. So Hong Kong kind of went from, hey, the freedom of saying what they wanted, to now we're watching everything you do, including your internet, your clothes, and your dog. So Hong Kong, we've known for a while, has not been cool with that, but China's pretty much like tough. So when Daryl Morey comes out and says we need to support freedom and etc., he's able to do that because as an American, we have the freedom of speech, such as why I'm able to do this show to all four people. Now, in the case of China, they're like, well, what you getting at, buddy? Why you coming at us? The crazy thing is, the Rockets are China's number one team because of Yao Ming. Yao Ming was the number one pick by the Rockets in like 2003 or something like that. Yeah, 2002, whatever, quote me on that. In any case, ever since then, they've been their favorite team. And for that tweet to come from the general manager of China's favorite team, kind of took China at a whoa. So instead of the commissioner, Adam Silver, who has always seemed to have been on the side of right, instead of him saying, hey, Morey, you son of a gun, you're fired, pulling a Vince McMahon, instead he goes, look, man, his timing might have been a little bit off, but he does have the freedom and the right to say what he does, which is absolutely true, which for some of you out there that go, I don't want to live in America, be glad that you have the freedom to say, I don't want to live in America. Be glad that you live in a place where you can express how you feel about your president, congressman, senator, bus driver or whatever, because in some parts of this world, if you say certain things, yeah, you won't live in that place anymore because you'll be dead. So in the case of the NBA and China, who's right and who's wrong, when money's involved, the question, do we put money over moral rights? If China decides to pick up my show tomorrow, I may have to put money over moral rights until I can reach a point where I can be moral. But all joking aside, if you kind of take a look at the United States, even the United States has done business with China since Nixon went to China in the 70s. Before that, it was taboo for anybody to touch China because they were a communist nation. But we realized they make so much stuff. They have and they do it for a cheaper rate than we're willing to have it done here. So that's why the relationship for America and China has always been tight, but it's always been, are we friends or are we foes? There's some political things that China does for us that we appreciate. Like they kind of keep an eye on Korea a little bit. They kind of keep that, So there's some things that, we as a country have done business with them. But now the NBA, a private entity, is it okay for that to stop? Could this hurt the NBA? Because, like I said, nobody watches more basketball outside of America than China. China has over 1 billion people. If half of them watch the NBA, I'll take those numbers any day. But should the NBA take a moral stand, even though they've been doing business with them? It's kind of the old adage, is it okay to do business with the devil as long as it's cool? I just made that up, actually. I'm pretty sure there's a proverb out there somewhere. I'm not going to stand on the moral horse and say who's right and who's wrong. I will defend to my death the general manager of the Houston Rockets' right to say what he said, because in this God country, we are allowed to do that. And hey, until they take that away, which could happen any day, I will defend it tooth and nail, all right? Hey, thank you all for watching. What a weird show. I'm glad to be back in the old stomping grounds. It feels good. Get the fluids going. I can pick a different wardrobe other than a t-shirt and a tie, because I can walk again a little bit, people. A little. I'm still hobbling. So anyway, hey, subscribe at the bottom. Tune in next week. We'll be back for more. Go check out my podcast at I'm Just Talking the Podcast. You can subscribe there, leave a comment. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, if you listen on SoundCloud or Google Play, you can do the same thing. Also, I'm taking music for that show, so if you make your own music, whether you're a band or whatever, submit music to this email, downrightenterprise@gmail.com, and I'll play your song on the show. Doesn't cost you anything, no strings attached. And thank you all for watching and listening, and you guys have been awesome. Be safe out there, and deuces. And I am signing off. I did that for the camera.